Okay, welcome everybody to another Jodel webinar. This evening we have the absolute pleasure of having Ellie Baker with us, who's very, very inspirational, I think, in her journey, what she's been doing, which you're going to hear all about, particularly her company BilinguaSing and her interest in coaching. So it's going to be a very thought-provoking session tonight, I'm sure. It's the 28th of September 2020. And it's really lovely to see so many people in the room right now. So over to you, Ellie. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this, and looking forward to learning with you. You need to unmute yourself, Ellie, if that's okay, just quickly. So bottom left of the screen, if you click on the microphone. So on your screen, bottom left.
Okay, so mine was at the top left.
Oh,
of course,
sorry.
it had to be in a different place.
No worries. Over to you.
Sorry, everyone. I really hope you can hear me now. Okay, so thank you so much, Joe. That was a really lovely introduction. Thank you. Really pleased to be here, and thank you all for giving up your precious time on a Monday evening. So well done for being here. I really want to make this session value packed for you, and I want you to get loads out of it. So who am I anyway? Who am I? Why am I here? And why are you listening to me this evening? My name's Ellie. I'm a growth mindset coach for languages teachers. My background is in language teaching in schools. I'll tell you more about that later. I'm also the founder and owner of BilinguaSing, which is a languages through music franchise for children. So I'm here really to offer you some insights, to give yourself a bit of space to think about where you are, where you want to be, and what your options might be. So I'm not here to give a big push on BilinguaSing. I'll tell you a bit about it, how it came about, and maybe there is room for you as to explore that, but it may not be for you. But there are other things you can explore, and I'm here to help guide you on those things this evening. So I really hope you find it interesting and thought-provoking. And I hope you've got at hand some paper and a pen or pencil or a journal or something that you can write in, because this is going to be a little bit of a practical session where you can actually get something, something out of it that you can actually act upon. So if you don't have those things to hand now, don't worry, I'll give you another opportunity to go and grab those, and a cup of tea or whatever your Monday drink of choice might be. So let's move forward, everyone. So coaching, why coaching? Coaching has always been an integral part of my life, and you'll learn a little bit more about why shortly. But it's been, it can be a huge catalyst for changing your career. Now, a lot of you on this presentation who have joined us this evening may be thinking, well, why would I want to change my career? Maybe you're perfectly happy where you are. Or maybe there's been that little niggling voice saying, do you know, this is okay right now, but I don't want to do this forever. Or maybe you've had a bigger life change that has made you really reassess your priorities, and you just don't know where to go with it. You know that there's something needs to happen, you don't know where to begin. So if this sort of strikes a chord with you, then this is a presentation for you. So we're also going to answer the question, why join a franchise network? Now, franchise networks are just one thing you could look at to bridge that gap between sort of jumping out of a job into self-employment, if that is something you want to consider. A franchise network, being part of a group, can really bridge that gap. And I'm going to just talk you through some of the pros and cons of that. What about COVID? Everyone's the question on the tip of everyone's tongue is, well, how does this fit today? How are you doing these face-to-face classes when we've got COVID sort of hanging over us, I suppose? And so talking to you how we've dealt with that, and maybe sharing experiences about how you've dealt with that would be really interesting to share as well. Going back to this, actually. We are going to ask you to get your singing voices on a little bit, okay? So most of us as language teachers, we're not strangers to using music for teaching, and that is really at the heart of BilinguaSing, and hence the word sing in there. So I'm going to do a little demonstration. I really hope you'll join in with me, and I'll be making notes of people's names as well, so that we can do a hello song and actually say hello to you personally. I may not be able to do everybody, but we'll certainly be jotting a few of your names down to do that shortly. Also singing is a real issue, isn't it, at the moment? I've been sort of looking at some comments in some of the Facebook groups for language teachers, and there's a lot of anxiety around this. And, you know, at BilinguaSing, we've got our own policies around that. I can share that with you later, and we do get around it. I've been in schools myself. I'm not a stranger to, haven't left the classroom completely. I do a few hours a week teaching, but completely on my terms. It's really nice, just 3 to 5 hours per week. And we do get around the singing issue as well. We'll talk about that a bit later on. Okay, so BilinguaSing, is this something you can do in your spare time, or coaching? Is this something you can do in your spare time? This is a question I get as well, which I hope to answer for you. Is this for me? A big one. Is this something that you want to explore? Is coaching for me? How's coaching going to help me? I hope I'll answer that for you too. And what will you learn? Now, in good old teacher style, I like a few objectives and outcomes. I think that's the way we're wired, isn't it? So I want you to at least get an understanding of how coaching can help you get unstuck and be a catalyst for change in your life in lots of areas. It's not just about work, although we'll find that everything really is quite interlinked. And this could be a really fun process. And, you know, maybe some of you have experienced coaching before, and you have had experience of how that has moved you forward in one area, or maybe 2 key areas or more in your life. And if so, that's great. So hopefully I'm preaching to the converted. If not, I really hope you get a little taste of that this evening. I'm obviously going to talk about BilinguaSing because that was my sort of my bridge outside to get out of classroom at the point, you know, where I felt I needed to. And it is an opportunity for other languages teachers. So I can share that with you as a potential outcome of something that you could explore, or even just to inspire you. If you're thinking there's something in me that needs to be created, it needs to come forth, and I just don't know where to start. And maybe you've got those negative voices in your head saying, why would I, you know, who am I to do this? I'm not capable, I'm not able to. And we come up with all these excuses, and we're going to really dig into those quite deeply this evening as well. All the things we tell ourselves, all the excuses and all the negative voices that can sort of really put us down and tell us that we're not able to move out of a situation. And people are often ask me how we have supported our team of franchisees, many of them being ex-MFL teachers like you, through the pandemic. And I just want at this point want to say there are people probably on this webinar who are not in, you know, in the formally in the sort of classroom environment. They might be running their own classes online, or maybe you're someone who wants to come into teaching and you don't know what, you know, about other options. So I will be talking about people from all different backgrounds, but I would probably say, Joe, and you probably agree, maybe 80% of people on this webinar are in a, you know, in a UK school at the moment. Okay, so hang on. Okay, so this is where I am today. So a little jump forward. This is my BilinguaSing family. You know, it's taken some time to get here. We're a really great bunch of people, actually. If I do say so myself, this is our family. Here we are collecting an award that we won last year for the most loved music, dance and performing arts activity. You might think, hang on, I thought BilinguaSing was languages. Well, it is so much more than that. It's really holistic, and there's so much more to it, and I really can't wait to dig into that shortly. But what I've helped these people to do, you know, all of these lovely ladies here, we do have a male franchisee now, Justin, who's joining us soon, so that's brilliant. You know, we do want to offer that to everybody. It's just that quite often it for many of these ladies, it's occurred at a point where they've maybe had children or something, and it does appeal to people who've had children, but it's not exclusively for people who've had their own children. So here we are, my sister's here on the left, if you look at the top left picture. So I'm really fortunate that today I get to work with my family, with my sister. You'll see my dad shortly as well. So I get to choose who I work with. We have an amazing team of some of whom are ex-languages teachers. You know, these are ladies and gentlemen as well who wanted to get unstuck. They felt maybe they didn't want to be where they were anymore. They didn't know where to go or what to do. Every time they thought of doing something else, you know, the fear kicked in, and they would say to themselves, well, you know, if I stay where I am, at least I know what money I'm getting every month. Or it's the, you know, I'm not super happy here, but at least it's the devil I know. I don't know, you know, the fear of the unknown is what can hold us in place. You know, a bit like a relationship, you know, an employment, being in employment is also a sort of a relationship, and it can keep us there for, you know, whether it's good or bad. It can actually keep us quite stuck. So what do teachers say to me when they come to me to talk about BilinguaSing, or maybe they want some help, you know, they want to be coached, they want to find a way forward, maybe an exit from teaching, or maybe they still want to teach, they just don't want to be confined to, you know, the teaching system, you know, the education system. So I wonder if you might write in the chat for me. So the more we write, the more we interact, the more we're going to get out of it. And of course, if you put yourself forward with a comment, somebody else will, and it will just really enable everyone to get more from this. So I'd love to hear, if you can pop in the chat box, what do you think the top 5 problems are that I hear when teachers come to me for coaching or to talk about BilinguaSing? So what things are they stressed about at work? What things do they feel? What are the problems that they most often have? Because I bet some of us here have felt and experienced some of these too. Would anyone like to write? I'll start you off if you need me to, but
unsurprisingly, workload has come up a couple of times already.
Yeah, how do I look at the chat box actually?
So if you go to the top of your screen, you should.
Oh, I can see it now.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, lots of I thought I had. I thought it was tumbleweed there for a moment, but no, we're good. Yeah, workload. Yeah, poor work-life balance, definitely. Time planning. Some might not enjoy singing. Yeah, that's true. It may not be, singing may not be for you. That's another for another conversation. But yeah, a long day, feeling undervalued. Nothing is enough. Yes, absolutely. No time for songs. Oh, I love this. Yeah, I mean, it's sad when we feel that we have to get through a certain curriculum and we're kind of tied to that, and we can't be free to do what we know feels right and what feels good, right? Teaching should be fun. It should be a joyful experience, right? The more we do, the more we're asked to do. Workload, too much data, restrictive curriculum. I hear you, everyone. Huge class sizes. Wow, yeah, that's that can be really challenging as well. Yeah, Marie, ideal. Yeah, you love singing. Lack of engagement, secondary school. Yeah, can get a little bit like an exam factory, right? Okay, brilliant stuff. Thank you, everyone. So I'm going to just like hit you with it, with what I find are my biggest issues, the issues that people bring to me. So they say these are really quite personal, okay? And I'm sharing these with you because they might resonate with you. We do need to have a place where we can actually articulate these things. And, you know, you don't have to put your hand up to anything, but feel free to if you want to. You know, the more we share, the more we can connect, and the more we can normalize this, because it's happening. It's happening all the time. It happened to me from day one. You know, I'm going back to 2003 when I started my teaching career. Yeah, big one. After a day at school, I'm too exhausted to be fully present for my own children. Does this resonate? If you're a parent, maybe it does. I feel that whatever I do, I'm not good enough. The more you do, the more you get asked to do. Does this resonate? Seen it in the chat box. I dream of doing something else with my languages, but I don't have the time or energy to explore my options. We're just time deprived, exhausted. And what do we do when we're stressed and time deprived? We throw ourselves on the sofa the minute we can. Maybe we find a way of pushing away the doubt, pushing away the pain. It might be, you know, for me, it was things like Netflix binges or chocolate whenever I had, you know, not that we ever had the time. But whenever I did, if it was a Friday night, I would just want to block it out, don't think about it. But was that moving me forward? Was it moving me forward? It really wasn't. And ultimately, this one, yours may not be a hamster wheel. Do we have any synonyms? I feel like I'm stuck in something that keeps on spinning, keeps on going, and I just don't know how to get off. This takes me back to my NQT year and the years that followed, you know, where I just was like, does this ever change? You know, for some of you, maybe it has, maybe it is, maybe you are in a much better place, and I really hope you are, but it's this is a familiar thing, a familiar theme that people bring to me. And I want you to know, if this is you, if you've experienced this, or if you know someone who's going through this, it's not your fault. It's really not your fault. You know, we can feel that there's something wrong with us, that, you know, we're not able to cope. Everyone else seems to be okay. You know, everyone's walking around the school looking like they're on top of things, and I just don't feel like I am. I'm putting on this smile, I'm putting on this facade. I want you to know it's not your fault. It's important that you know this. There's one massive and really important reason, and I want you to keep this with you next time you feel like this. And that is that the gap between control and accountability in this profession is too wide. It's too wide. So we've got massive accountability and so little control, because we're not pulling the strings, are we? Somebody else is doing that for us most of the time. And we've got so many variables. You know, we're expected to pull, you know, these grades out of a magic hat, it would seem at times. And even if you're in primary school, you get what I mean by that, no matter what your subject is. But certainly, you know, it's quite a universal truth, and I want you to really take this on board, because it really isn't your fault. And what you get when there's a huge gap between accountability and control, we get massive stress. That's what happens. So I love this image. You might think, why on earth has Ellie put a picture of a man with a ruler and some trying to like trim some grass? Well, I saw this on another webinar, and I'm going to like call out that I did steal this, okay? But it just, to me, speaks volumes. It's like, I used to feel like it's like trying to cut a lawn with a pair of scissors. You're told it needs to be this long. So you get to work, you start trimming your lawn, and by the time you're sort of halfway into trimming your lawn, it's growing up behind you, and you never, ever get on top of it. It's like the proverbial job list, isn't it? The never-ending to-do list. It never gets done. You never get to the bottom of it. So another question for you, everyone. What do teachers often try? What things do we do hoping it's going to resolve the problem? And I've already told you I used to try and push it away with, you know, other active, just try and push it out of my brain by watching Netflix or doing something else, maybe having a few glasses of wine on a Friday. And then I'd wake up the next day on a Saturday, I'd see the big pile of marking in the corner, and I'd be like, it's still there, it's not working. But what else is there? What else do teachers try? I mean, we might be talking really big things here, like, you know, leaving and going to another school. What sort of things do teachers try? Please feel free to pop it in the chat box. Maybe you've tried something you'd like to share. Give you a minute. I'm sure you have tried something.
So we've got some comments like communicate, share resources. Okay. Yeah.
It's not coming up in my chat, actually. Let me see if there's... Okay, Joe, would you mind reading them out for me?
Of course, of course. So Marie has written things like share, share freely. Trips, this is Melanie, trips, extracurricular activities to get more engagement. Ask for help, another comment. Leaving at a reasonable time after school, which is an important thing, not to be there till 6 o'clock every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Disconnecting. Yeah, absolutely. Lots of things that we may have tried. I mean, these are some of the things I'm going to share with you. I mean, some of those might be on the list now. So I know this sounds crazy, but I've heard of colleagues going for promotion to try and relieve themselves from the stress of being in the classroom all the time, thinking, oh, that's going to help. It's going to reduce my contact time. My head's going to be somewhere else for part of the day, but that rarely solves the problem. It doesn't get us out of this systemic problem. Switching schools. Has anyone ever tried switching schools, thinking this is going to change everything, this is going to be a much better experience, much better environment? Quite often the problem just comes with us, or you have the honeymoon period and then the cracks start to appear. Or even demoting yourself. This is the one I get the most. I've even gone part-time, and I've relinquished my head of department role or my TLR, because I just want to offload the stress onto someone else and sort of shrink back and not raise my head above the parapet too much and just go through the motions. And that's, you know, it can work for a little while, but then other problems start to creep in. Going part-time, lots of people do that. What happens if we go part-time? I'm only doing 3 days. Is it really 3 days? What were your experiences? If you've tried this one, I'd love to know what your experience of going part-time was like. For most people, I think it ends up being 4 days or 4.5 days. Okay, big one. I'm all for this. You know, looking after your mental health, looking after your physical health, all of these things are going to massively improve your well-being and enable you to sort of, you know, rise above some of all of this stuff. But this alone isn't going to, and not actually taking action to change your circumstances or have a vision of as to where you want to go on its own isn't going to cut it. Hopefully, I really hope many of you have got the time to integrate something into your daily routine to make sure you're looking after your mental well-being and your physical well-being. But in reality, what this actually often did to me was I would feel stressed about getting to the yoga class. I would find myself getting there late because I'd be stuck in traffic, and then I'd be rushing in there all like red-faced and sweaty and thinking, oh, here I am, like again flying by the seat of my pants again, why am I doing this to myself? And the whole purpose of getting to the yoga class was just eroded by the stress of getting there, and it always just sort of seemed to get caught up in the whole stress of the job as well. I just didn't have the time to go at a good time of day. I'd always be in traffic. Okay, so all right, so a little bit about BilinguaSing. Maybe you're a little bit like Kath. Maybe you're a primary school teacher. Maybe you've tried some of these things and some of the things you've put in the chat box already. And yeah, I'll let you read it. So this was Kath. She's part of the BilinguaSing team. I'll tell you more about what BilinguaSing is and what we do in a moment, but just want to give you a moment to look at someone's success story, someone who's managed to transition out of the classroom and into doing something different. Kath says, I wouldn't be where I am after 10 months if I had to do everything myself from scratch. So that's one of the benefits of being part of a franchise network, is that you get given sort of the success path. You know, it's there for you. You don't have to plan it out. You don't have to waste any time figuring things out. After just 10 months, Kath had built up a business, working with amazing nurseries, a few parent and child classes. Many of them were full and waiting lists for places. And she also runs school clubs as well now. This was a while ago, but she's now running school clubs as well. So maybe this could be you. Or maybe you're a bit more like Alexia. Sorry, I've just gone forward a bit too much there. Maybe you're a little bit more like Alexia. She took on my coaching program and decided that she needed to move on from teaching. BilinguaSing wasn't right for her, and I could see that it wasn't the thing for her. And she's gone on to start her own translation business. Translation may not be for you, but it's all about finding what does work for you. And we had really, really good success with her coaching. So what about me? How have I ended up in, like, where did BilinguaSing come from? Why? So just want to give you a bit of context. So I started, if you look at the top left corner, I started as a teaching assistant in Avignon. Anyone here do a year abroad and end up in France? I'm sure, Joe, you might need to just let me know if there's anyone responding there.
Not at the moment. They're talking about part-time people being undervalued, which clearly that's resonating with lots of them. I know we've had this chat already, but I had a year in Montpellier many years ago. Right, but I had a year in Montpellier, which was amazing. But yeah, it would be lovely to see in the chat if people had a year in France as part of their degrre. That'd be great.
Yeah,
but yeah, lots of comments about part-time teaching at the moment in the chat.
Right, so that's really interesting, because that's the one I get the most. Yeah, either the demotion, like thinking I'm just going to step right back now, and I'm just going to try and hide and go part-time and just try and enjoy the teaching and not get involved with the politics. And you know, in reality, it doesn't often work out that way, and or other problems arise from it, which then further compound the problem of feeling devalued and feeling like you're almost invisible, but there's so much more expectation placed upon you. You know, your 0.6 full-time equivalent is just not really respected quite often. Yeah, okay, so I actually then, after my year in Avignon, I wasn't a full year actually. I then went to Salamanca in Spain, which was my absolute favourite place ever. Then I went into the pharmaceutical industry for a short stint. I was I was a little bit put off by teaching, if I'm totally honest, after my experience in France, and I kind of promised myself, right, I'm never going to do that again. So how have I ended up here? So after 6 months working in the pharmaceutical industry, I decided to ditch the company car and the mobile phone, even though it was probably a brick back then. I just felt, I just wasn't, I wasn't feeling it. I knew I had to do something with my languages. I knew I needed to do something that was a bit more meaningful to me. So I thought, I'm going to give teaching a go. There were some quite good incentives then in 2003. It was like, I'm going to give this a go. I'm going to give it another go. So I did my PGCE MFL. It was a rocky road, I won't lie to you. It had a difficult placement, challenging school. But I persevered. I did the NQT year. I became head of Spanish in the first couple of years. That was, great, but also really tough at times as well. And then in 2009, I moved from Yorkshire, where I was then, down south, where I live now, so near Windsor. Windsor has a middle school system, and I took the opportunity to jump into middle school just to have a change. And this is one of the things you could try. If changing schools is not, isn't going to make much of a difference. If you live in an area where there's a middle school system, that's something that for me really did work for a while. It gave me much more freedom. It was not the exam factory that I'd become accustomed to, and I was able to just be free. I got into primary a little bit as well. Again, it had a lot of challenges, but there were different challenges, and I was able to really just be myself and teach the way I wanted to a lot of the time. So that was a really nice period, actually, my teaching career. And then 2012, I didn't have twins, birth of 2 babies. So I had my first child, and that was where BilinguaSing came from, really. The seed was like, I need to do something else. I can't keep going in this profession because I just don't think I can do it all. I don't want to compromise on being a good mum and being a sane person and being a good teacher. Something had to give. So the little girl who made everything change, really. And your catalyst might be something else. Often it's a big life event for people. It might just be a nagging feeling. Maybe there's no event as such, or maybe something's happened at work that's made you feel, I just really need to get out of this. And I want you to know that there are ways that you can not only plan an exit strategy and plan for something that really lights you up and actually find a way through. This is, I did it. Some of the ladies who've joined me with BilinguaSing have done it. Not only that, but you can also feel better in the process of going into work can feel better when you've got this sort of strategy planned out, or you're moving towards it. Even if you have to stay where you are for another 3, 6, 12 months, if you've got a strategy and you're building that strategy, you can just feel better immediately. And that's what I find with my coaching clients a lot of the time. So here I am. It's not actually me, but I thought, actually, this could be me. This picture really depicts me. I'm at a crossroads in my life. I'm like, what am I going to do? I've got this little girl. I enjoyed my middle school teaching. I was in a really cushy place there for a while, but then everything was changing. A new head was coming in with a certain reputation. And I was like, I can't go there again. I've been here, I've done it too many times. The cycle's beginning again. I've had 10 years. 10 years was a really good chunk of time, and I feel ready to do something new. I don't want to climb the ladder. I don't want to be senior management. I knew what I didn't want. It was hard to figure out what I did want, but I did know what I didn't want at this point. So why did I come up with BilinguaSing? Well, I knew I wanted to change, or I knew I wanted to have a change without having to live by someone else's rules. So that kind of ruled out any other job or any career that involved being employed. I wanted to do this so I could be free to make my own choices. I felt like I've been shackled for long enough. I've been taking holidays when I've been told for long enough. Travel is one of my life values. I believe in it, the educational value of travel so much. And I was always shackled to to take my holidays during, the out of term time, etc. So that's just one thing that really frustrated me. What frustrates you could be something totally different. But so I wanted to do this to be there for my daughter, so I could take holidays during term time, and I wanted to wake up in the morning excited about the day ahead, or at least content. I didn't want to wake up with a knot in my stomach anymore. And I'm not afraid to say that there were times where I would never have admitted that. There were times where I wouldn't have admitted that because I was afraid it showed a weakness. But today I'm in such a different place that I can look back and say, gosh, I did that for a long time. I felt like that for a long time. The answer was simple, but it wasn't easy. This is the thing. It's clear. I knew what I had to do, but it's not easy to change. It's not easy. I had to get over my own excuses. What excuses did I make? I'd love to know what you think. Have a guess. You're a teacher. You're in the mind of a teacher. What excuses did I make? What excuses would a teacher make about I'm not going to be able to leave. I'm not going to be able to change. Pop them in the chat box. Joe, you might have to share with me.
No problem. I've just written, I love your honesty. I think it's really refreshing to hear someone really talking about, of the things that you found difficult and being honest about them. I think it's very empowering. It's really lovely to hear. So we've got a couple of comments. Joe said missing the salary. Which,
it's a big one.
Yeah.
Salary. Yeah. Money. There you go. That was my first one.
There we are.
Yeah. So I'll give everyone a moment to have a think.
Yeah.
What stops you? What would stop you if you were me?
The unknown. So Nigin has talked about the unknown. Feeling scared of the unknown, definitely.
Scared of the unknown, yeah.
The feeling that the children need you, that the school needs you, and
right. The guilt.
The guilt, yeah.
The guilt.
Yeah, self-doubt, yeah, that's right.
Okay, I call all of these reasonable reasons. It's a bit of a coaching term there. The reasonable reasons that we give ourselves, reasons to stay stuck, because do you know what? When we've been telling ourselves this story for such a long time, and it's that story is further perpetuated by our environment, which is the school, the culture, the system, the staff room. We start to just embody that, and it's very, very difficult to break out of that, because our body and our brain are really connected, and our body is begging us to stay stuck. Our body just wants familiar, the feelings that come with that, all of the thoughts that we can control our brains, we can control our thoughts. It takes effort, but we tend to go around on a bit of a loop, and then it becomes a bit automatic, like a software program. We can easily run that program, but just interrupt the program, look outside the box, it's really tough. It's much easier just to let the software run, and the software then tells the body how to feel. And this is where coaching comes in. It's a real pattern interrupt. I love coaching because of what it can really do for someone. Even in just one session, it can just interrupt the pattern. It challenges the pattern of thought, and we can start to program new patterns of thought. And so some of the things that we tell ourselves are the money. Well, at least if I know what I'm getting each month, I'm safe. It's just safer than not knowing, right? Confidence. Who am I to do this? And the people we're surrounded with are further reinforcing that. Well, why would you want to leave? You're never gonna, what about your salary? What about your pension? Oh, that's my favorite. What about your pension? Your pension and sick pay and all the holidays, all of the things that keep us stuck, all of the things that we hear and we tell ourselves. The time, I haven't got the time to start a side hustle or a new thing on the side. Well, that's probably something we're telling ourselves. It's not totally true as well. And through coaching, we can talk about how you can actually identify huge pockets of time that will benefit you much more than what we're actually doing with them. And the guilt. We are conditioned as teachers to feel like we're completely indispensable. If I walk away from this job, these kids are going to suffer, right? We've all thought that. These kids are going to suffer without me. I've got news for you. We are dispensable. Somebody will come along and replace us. And it's hard to admit that, we miss the kids. Of course we've made a difference. That doesn't mean I'm saying that we haven't made a difference. And whatever difference that you've made to those children, it's going to last. It's going to stick with them. But people do move on, and I've seen it and I've experienced it. You think, gosh, somebody else has filled my shoes, and it hurts because the kids really like them, but you know, it's okay, you know, we can accept that that's going to happen and we can move forward from it. But we can get ourselves in this trap of thinking, if I leave, it's like I've betrayed the profession, I'm betraying my colleagues, I'm leaving a sinking ship. You know, if your school's in trouble and they're going through a difficult time, as many are, as all are right now, then these stories can come up as well. And just general self-worth, you know, as teachers, it's easy to feel like we're underachieving all the time because, you know, the workload is up here, you know, and we're there cutting that lawn, you know, with our scissors, and we never quite reach that. So we're not used to feeling like we're achieving. You know, it's very, very, we get into this sort of, well, I'm not achieving, therefore what's my, you know, my self-worth is sort of a bit down here because what I should be doing is up here, and I can't get there. I just can't get there. There's always more to do. And then collectively, all this pain, it almost becomes a friend. We can sometimes wear it like, and I will put my hands up and say, I did this, you know, you wear it a bit like a badge of honor. Well, I'm a teacher, you know, you can't tell me that your job's hard. You know, you start to embody this and you start to almost wear it like a bit of a badge, and it's very difficult to give that up. It becomes addictive, believe it or not. So just something to think about. So how did because I fell foul to all of this too. You know, it took me a long time. I mean, there were times, you know, 5 years in where I thought I could walk and do this idea, but I never had the confidence to. This is the man who, he may be online watching this presentation, my dad, my good old dad, my inspiration. Dad, I'm very fortunate to have had and still have a wonderful dad who is a coach. He's a qualified life coach and business coach. He was a teacher for a short period, and he told me, Ellie, don't. And I'm not saying, I'm glad I didn't listen, actually. I am glad I didn't listen, because my 10 years in the classroom has equipped me with so much. And this is one of the other things I want you to take away from this. You probably are more capable than you ever thought possible. You're more powerful than you ever thought possible. There's so much that teachers can do. You know, if you wrote a list of job descriptions out, and when you think about all the things you actually do in your role outside of just the teaching bit, it's enormous. The things that you can do are limitless. So I'm glad I had that training ground for self-employment. I'm glad I was able to give of myself so much, and I feel that, you know, glad I did that, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But when the time came where I needed to change, I was fortunate to have a lot of this programming anyway. My dad had often intervened and helped me through my teens, for example, when I had a really, you know, heartbreaks, or if I used to shake when I had to do a presentation at school, and I said, Dad, you know, I get up there, you know, I'm like an awkward teenager, and the last thing you want is to shake when you're doing your English presentation. And he fixed it. Honestly, NLP, if anyone heard of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, pop it in the chat if you have. Joe, let me know if anyone has. I'd be really interested to know. NLP, so neuro-linguistic programming is a tool that you can use to really reframe negative thinking and almost put it in its box. Say, come on, that's done. That was yesterday. The new you thinks this, and then you just keep running that program. And he taught me to overcome my fear of public speaking, and some of the tools I was given through my childhood really did help enable me to overcome these doubts and fears as well. He happens to be a best-selling author as well of a book called The Inspiration Code. So if any of you have got leaders in your school you think need to know how to inspire their workers, then this may be the book for them. But anyway, who's this? So who is this for? If you're still with me, well done. If you're here and you want to pause and take stock of where you are, then we're going to do that shortly. If you want to feel that there are other options out there for you, then stay with me, because we're going to have a look at that too. If you want to learn about a teaching system that removes the accountability control gap, so those stomach knots and all of that stress, because we can't control all these things that we are accountable for, supposedly, then stay with me, because I'll be telling you a bit more about BilinguaSing. And if you want to see that it is possible to do more of what you loved about teaching in the first place, a lot of you put in the chat, we just don't have time to do songs, you know, or we have to focus on exam stuff all the time. Yeah, stay with me, because we'll be talking about that too. Okay, so here we are. Here's me at my crossroads. Could this be you? Can you identify with this image? Is it time to take stock? If so, please get yourself a pen or a pencil, some paper, because we're going to draw a pretty picture. We're going to draw a little picture now that's going to really depict where you are in your life. And we're not just looking at work, we're looking at all aspects of life. So has anyone ever seen this image? Does anyone know what it is? It's called the Wheel of Life. Now, nice and easy to draw. If you've got a math, if you happen to teach maths as well, then I'm expecting to see equal segments. No, so if you'd be so kind, everyone, as to draw the Wheel of Life. So nice circle divided into 8. And I'm going to ask you to shade in each part of the pie with where you think you are. How much out of 10? So let's say 1 being I couldn't be any worse. So start with fun and leisure. Let's say I have no fun, I have no leisure. 1 is like the most I can give myself for that. And 10 being absolutely brilliant, couldn't be better. There's no room for more fun or leisure in my life. Yep, you get the idea. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes, everyone, to do your Wheel of Life. And I'm not going to ask you to share this. This is just for you. If you want to share it, then feel free. But if you want to share your numbers, that is. So shade it, put a number to it as well. So I'm going to, I will show you what mine looked like shortly after the 5 minutes. So we're drawing our wheel. We're shading in to represent what score out of 10 we're giving ourselves for each section, and we're going to pop a number in as well, just to visually represent where we're at. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Okay, so Joe, I'm going to just leave it on this slide, and I'm going to come back in 5. Off you go.
Fantastic. So shall I pause the recording maybe, Ellie, while we're waiting for the 5 minutes? What do you think?
Yeah, you can absolutely pause.
So if I pause the recording and then you give me the nod and then we'll start again.
Yeah, and if you're watching on replay, then you can just pause it yourself.
Exactly, perfect.
Okay. All right, lovely, thank you.
Yeah.
So,
right, recording again now, yeah.
Okay, so this was my wheel back. To say it was always the same and it was always fixed with these numbers is it obviously ebbed and flowed in different directions all the time, but this was probably a fairly accurate snapshot of where I was most of the time through my 10-year teaching career. I mean, I had highs and lows, maybe on a different day it could have been a lot higher, but on average, maybe this is pretty accurate. And again, I did this without overthinking it, and I think that's when you get some really true answers. So funnily enough, work was quite high compared to some of the others, because I think that's how much perhaps importance I gave it. And then other areas of my life really suffered. So, fun and leisure, I used to say to my friends, sorry, can't talk now. Can we talk during half term? Just, and the same with my family, my emotional well-being was pretty much all over the place. I could be, if I had a great lesson observation, I'd be over the moon. I love this job. I was so realizing now I was so attached to external validation for being happy in my job, as opposed to just having it, that I don't need it. And that's when you're in a really good place. I don't need external validation. I'm enough, finances, well, a bit patchy. Health and fitness, I did try, and I remember joining gyms and trying to do things, but never managed to get anything consistent in my life which actually had any positive results, and I probably indulged too much in things, at the weekends, just to kind of, think, oh, I deserve it, I've earned it, family, again, would have loved to have seen more of my family. We were living in Yorkshire at the beginning of, first 4 years of my career, and I was quite far away from them, and I just, didn't have the energy to tackle the M1 on the weekends all the time. I had papers to mark and planning to do. Relationships, I lived with my now husband, in the early days of my teaching, and he'd probably say I was a little bit difficult to be with a lot of the time, especially during term time. And personal growth, that ebbed and flowed a lot, but it would stagnate for quite long periods as well. And often I was just felt so stifled and overwhelmed, but there wasn't room for anything else really. So that's, if that was I hope your wheel, sincerely hope your wheel looks a lot better than mine did. You may look at this and think, I've had times or periods of of my life where it was like this, and maybe you're in a better school or a better place or somewhere that's, you know, you found a role that gives you a bit more space. I really hope that is the case, because really, you know, what we want is it to look a bit more like this, right? And a nice smooth wheel that's going to roll, you know, smoothly through life. You know, my red wheel was rickety, to say the least, you know, and as one analogy, it's like, you know, would that tire get you safely across the M62 on a wet, you know, Tuesday evening, you know, after parents' evening? I'd probably have a blowout and end up on the side of the road, wouldn't I? So yeah, we want to be rough. This is where I feel I am today. So I've kind of, you know, been able to rebalance things. And of course, you know, but there are tough times in life that nothing can control. And there, you know, but I've got the resilience there. It gives me the space and the resilience to deal with life's ups and downs. And I normally bounce back much more, and I'm much more fulfilled, and there's space in my life to actually think, what am I doing anyway? Where do I want to go, and what am I trying to achieve, and what goals do I have, and what's my vision for life? You know, some of my values, this is really good exercise for figuring out some of your values. You know, my values are family, and friendship and travel, adventure. We're linguists, right? We thrive on adventure, and you know, sometimes this, you know, social norms can sort of stifle us a little bit. And being trapped, that's another reason why I say to languages teachers in particular, feeling of being trapped is really, it's because it can go against our nature. I'm not speaking for everyone, you know, I'm not speaking for everyone, but there's, you know, a theme often comes up with linguists that we feel even more stifled than perhaps teachers in other subjects because of our adventurous nature, maybe. So now, you know, today, you know, we do travel. We travel a lot with the kids. I mean, now they're in school, we are a little bit more restricted, but you know, I'm happy to take the odd cheeky day here and there if it helps us have a slightly longer holiday. And you know, you can, you know, judge if you wish, but I occasionally we do that. And I think because I feel that you know, there's a lot of education to be had in travel as well that can be much more valuable, or can really complement their school education, I should say. You know, I'm not, you know, I totally value their education, but I think there's other ways to educate your children, and I love to travel with them as much as I can. There I am at the top with my best friend who lives in Boston in the States, you know, and I managed to make that trip out during June. And I think about all the times in my life where I had to miss out on travels and weddings and things that took place outside of term time. So these are some of the things I can do today because thanks to, you know, me making that leap to do something different. So they say that a rocket to the moon spends only 7% of the time on the correct course. The rest of the time it's off course and it needs to be corrected and put back on course. So apparently a rocket can be corrected maybe just 3 or 4 times and it will eventually land where it's supposed to go. So even if you feel like you're massively off course, don't worry. Sometimes a few tweaks is all it needs. You know, the Apollo moon rockets were off course 97% of the time. Most of the time we're off course, yet they still reach the chosen destination. So a few tweaks might be all you need to get yourself back on course. And it may not be as dramatic as what you think it might be. Okay. And just remember this is something that really resonated with me. If you don't have a plan for yourself, somebody else will fit you into theirs. I don't think I need to say any more about that one. It's just a bit of food for thought, really. And your plan need not be something that, you know, complex that you've created and you has to be from you 100%. You can go after your own vision if you have one, or if you want to think about that further, but you can also contribute to an existing vision that lights you up. You know, for example, my vision, my mission is to spread the joy of language learning from an early age, far and wide, to as many people as possible. You know, that's my, it's, you know, it's simple, you know, it's not easy, it's simple mission that may well resonate with you. Maybe that aligns and you can go, you can align yourself to a mission that's already, you know, in place that someone else is doing. So, you know, what we've looked a little bit at today is the GROW method of coaching. So it's a gold standard in coaching. So we look at what's your goal. Once we've sort of cleared all the mess and we've established that we want to make a change, what are your goals? And that can take a little bit of time. But what's your reality? Where are you now compared to where you want to be in life? So this is your wheel can really help can tell you a lot about this. What are your options? Again, this takes time. It's not something we can do now in 5 minutes, but and then what is the way forward? So this is where coaching can come into its own. You've got somebody guiding you through this process. It comes from you, but you've got someone helping you, hold you to account, and make sure you're doing what needs to be done to get there, even if it takes some time. So moving forward. Okay, so maybe you're more like an Alexa. You saw Kath earlier. She and I went through some coaching together, and she ended up, as I said earlier, not joining the franchise. The coaching is totally separate from that. She decided she wanted to do something on her own, and I helped her just, go through that grow process, and she was able to apply it to her own business. So that could be something. These are some of the questions that typically we'd look at in a coaching session or in a coaching course. So how ideal is your life right now? You can take a moment now to do these questions. I'll just quickly run you through them. We will get on to BilinguaSing, and it won't be a particularly long section. But I think this is where we get really, really drilled down into it. So how ideal is your life right now out of 10? Again, don't overthink it. Just pop a bullet point, pop a mark out of 10, whatever comes to you instinctively. Visualize what you'd like your life to be like. Your life wheel could be a prompt. So you could actually just do this as a shading in your life wheel where you'd like it to be. Where's your ideal? How likely is it that your current path will get you there? So again, 1 being completely, of course, absolutely no chance I'll ever get there. And 10 being, I'm almost there. I'm like there, I can see it. 1 step and I'm there. Who or what is in the driving seat of your life at the moment? What will the consequences be if you don't change course? This is a big one. For me, it was, well, if I, in 10, 15 years time, if I don't make a change, where will I be? Will I have regrets? Will I have missed out on my kids? Will I be sitting here thinking, well, I wish I'd done this because now I could be there? And what can you do to change course? These are big questions. 5 minutes is going to really, cut it. But I just want you to take a moment just to jot down, just scribble down your initial gut reaction to each one. Okay, is that okay, Joe, if I just have a couple of minutes for this one?
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. So if I pause the recording again, and then you give me the nod when we'll carry on. It's making me think a lot about sort of my journey, having gone from a teacher to like a consultant, and I don't, in relation to regrets, I have absolutely no regrets at all of doing that. But it was absolutely at the time when it took me a couple of years to come to that decision, and just sort of thinking, is this what I really want to do? And it was absolutely what I wanted to do. And I have, even though I loved the teaching part, I loved doing the consultancy and the training as well. So it's making me think a lot this evening as well.
It can be really reflective. It can be really good. It can affirm where you are. It can affirm that the course you've taken is the right one. And I'm really glad to hear that, Joe, that I loved teaching. We've had a conversation about our middle school teaching years, and I absolutely loved those years. And I actually left the career on a bit of a high, in a school that I absolutely loved, but things were changing. A new head was coming in. I had my little girl, and something told me I had to change. It wasn't that I hated it. I loved it. I'd arrived in a really good place, and I'm so glad I went out on a high, but it's not always like that for people. And sometimes we're not as fortunate enough to be in a great place when we decide to make a change, and that's also okay. There's no right or wrong, but it's
definitely. I mean, personally, I felt I had this sort of burning desire to try to be like a consultant full time and see what happened. And it's been a huge amount of work, but I've been able to make it work, and particularly at the moment in these very testing times of not being able to travel at all. So I very much share your passion for travel. But I think when you have that sort of gut feeling, as you've been sort of saying all along, and then you feel, if I don't try this, if I don't take a risk, if I don't have that leap of faith, then am I always going to regret this? And so I think it's a brave thing to do, but I'm very glad I did it.
Yeah, absolutely. And look how it's worked out for you, Joe.
Yeah, it's been okay.
Huge following. I know you don't I know you're very humble, but you have, and many of us have been in the same room as you, and, benefited so much from your presentations and your encouragement,
Thank you.
technology, and you've gone to the next level of impact. You've gone outside the classroom and you've had an impact on a whole new level, which has in turn impacted so many more people. So
Thank you.
Brilliant.
But I think it's that, you have that feeling that you can do something, that you can maybe, help more than just the children in your classroom or the people in your school, that you could, if you have that feeling, I would say go for it. I know it's an easy thing to say, but particularly if you have, dependents or what have you. But fortunately, I was in a very supportive family life and what have you, and I was able to go for it, and it has worked out okay. But it's a scary thing to do, for sure.
Yeah, it can be scary, and like as it's Susan Jeffers who says, feel the fear and do it anyway. Fear is there. Fear is like it's there to look out for us, right? But I always say you got to sort of say to fear, it's okay, thanks for being there for me, I'm hearing you, I'm listening, but it'd be so much better if you could support me on this journey instead of going on in my ear and telling me about all the possible bad things that could happen, because what about all the good stuff that may not happen if I don't do this? So thank the fear, you've done a great job looking out for me, but I'm going to do this, and I'd love to do it with your help instead of you causing friction here. Have a word with the fear. Put it in its place.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I'm really conscious of time, everyone. We could do a lot more on this, but I want to move you forward a little bit now. So Joe, you might want to hit record again.
Yep, all good.
Okay, so if you've enjoyed the coaching element of this, then stay with me till the end. I'm hoping to wrap this up in the next 20 minutes. Okay, so stay with me, because I'm going to show you how you can take this a little bit further if you're interested in that. And now I'm going to just talk a little bit about BilinguaSing, because this may be your life raft. It may not be, or it may just inspire you to create your own. So how it all came about. So I'm just going to show you a little clip, because it speaks a million words, isn't it? A video.
We got in a taxi in Spain and they both started singing the Hello song.
Oh, sorry. This was when
the taxi driver was very impressed.
Okay, sorry. This is when the BBC came to visit one of our clients.
I always believe that the sooner you get a child introduced to a language, the quicker, they're like sponges at this age, they'll pick everything up.
My little boy Dexter's been coming since he was about 10 weeks old. He's now 19 months old and he speaks in English and some words he says in Spanish.
I think once people come and realise it's not as scary as you think, and they find that they're singing them, they keep coming back. We've got lighting, bubbles, different kinds of props, actions. But on top of that, we also have the added extra bonus of a language.
He's getting quite fluent in singing Spanish and French songs.
Parents or whoever's coming along are also learning with their children and just having a fun experience as well.
I've learned a new language as well with him, so it's nice, it's something we've done together.
One of the little girls that I teach in the nursery, she's just gone to school and they just started doing Spanish, and she started reciting, saying hello, goodbye, she could count to 10, but she's 4, it's great. Adios!
Just a short video there when the BBC came to visit our franchisee Sarah. Sarah used to be a primary school teacher. She actually worked out in Qatar, so she was in a British school, an international school, and she was a primary school teacher with an MFL specialism. So she joined us back in 2015, has never looked back. And that's back in the day where we used to wear yellow. We've actually changed our branding since then. We actually launched our shiny new brand just before lockdown, but it actually already feels like we've had it forever. So okay, so why did I decide I created this business locally. I was running these classes myself Why did I decide to franchise it? Well, actually working alone in my BilinguaSing business just didn't feel like it was enough. I thought I've created this product, I've created this service. People were really enjoying learning languages with their children. I wanted to share it a bit further. And I also wanted to open up that teacher mentoring and coaching again that I used to enjoy so much when I was actually teaching and working. I used to coach primary school teachers to assist them with, delivering languages. I would take on all the GTP trainees as they were then, and I just loved that, mentoring and coaching and developing them. So that really opened up an opportunity to work with other teachers again. Sorry, it's very sensitive, my mouse tonight. So, and also the strength in numbers, for me, I felt that, BilinguaSing could become so much more if there were other people on board who had shared the same vision, shared the same passion, and people who could help develop it as well and push that forward. And, here it is. So in a nutshell, it's a music, sensory play and language class all in one. We do all of these things all in one. So if you have got younger children, you've been to a sort of a sensory class with your little one, or a music class, or a dance class, we sort of do it all in one session. Hard to imagine, but you've sort of seen a little snippet now. Okay, so we're going to do a bit of singing. I'm not going to do, we won't do full songs, but I'm just going to sing hello to the first people who entered the Zoom room tonight. Feel free to join in. So if you speak Spanish, great, this is going to be super easy for you. If you don't, then you can just feel free to listen and absorb. It's not difficult. We have a series of hello songs. So we've got about 6 in each language. We do Spanish, German, Italian and French. Our hello songs are like our signature way of starting the class, and we can sort of change them up. We've got different ones that we can use. And these are monolingual, so they're always in the target language only, because we are addressing so many children. We'd be there all day if we do it in English as well. But you'll notice the name BilinguaSing, bilingua, does actually, that represents the fact that our songs normally are bilingual, and the way we deliver the classes are bilingual. So this is a bit of an exception. Our hello songs are in just the target language. So here we go. Please, I hope this works. Okay, I'm starting with you, Joe, okay? And on to Mel. I won't make you sing with me, but if you're on mute, everyone, you've got no excuse, okay? Are we ready? Hola, Joe.
¿Qué tal estás? Estoy genial. Gracias. Hola. ¿Qué tal estás? Estoy genial. Gracias.
Elizabeth now.
Hola. ¿Qué tal estás? Estoy genial. Gracias. Hola. ¿Qué tal estás? Estoy genial. Gracias. Hola. ¿Qué tal estás? Estoy genial. Gracias. Hola. ¿Qué tal estás?
There we go. I'm very seasoned at this.
Estoy genial. Gracias.
Right, here we go. Right. Okay. So there you get a little taster of our hello songs and how they work. So you'll notice we have these like red color-coded letters. That's how we teach the phonics. So part of the BilinguaSing teaching system is we teach through music. That's one of our sort of unique, remind me what USP stands for, goodness me. Unique selling points. It's very late. So we highlight these through our songs, and there are often adults with us in the room who are learning as well. The grown-ups want to learn too, and this is what's amazing about it. We're often in nurseries, we're often in primary schools. We tend to be alone because or maybe there's a TA with you at most, but you can really get into the phonics here. And we've got our own way of teaching phonics. It's not strictly phonetic. It's about a good fit for someone who is maybe reluctant or struggles to get to grips with phonics, because in another language, there can be another story. We're not going to go into massive detail on that. That's the whole training session if you're joining us, and then obviously the French as well, German and Italian also. So you can see...
Before we do the next song, Ellie, we just got a question from the chat about
sure. Shout out.
Okay, about Makaton. So Elizabeth has asked, do you do any Makaton with the singing?
We do.
And then Isabella said, Makaton helps so much. I do Makaton with my son as he is French and learns English in the same way.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, so we actually use British Sign Language, and it's all integrated into our planning, but there's a lot of similarities with Makaton. Like some of the signs are very the same or similar. So we've got a bank of about 250 signs that we integrate into the songs, and yeah, I totally agree, they really help. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about what all the elements that make the classes are, so you'll see, you know, how that integrates shortly. But yeah, so here's another, I just want to show you a little example. So if you had a class of say 20 children doing a club or what have you, then you've got 20 rounds of this. You've got as many as you want. So I will show you a French song as well shortly. Oh, hang on, we've skipped. Okay, for some reason, there we go.
Ellie. ¿Cómo te llamas tú? Hola, me llamo. ¿Cómo te llamas tú? Hola, me llamo. ¿Cómo te llamas tú? Hola, me llamo. ¿Cómo te llamas tú? Hola, hola, cantamos todos juntos.
Okay, so that's an example of a hello song, which is monolingual. We just go around in a loop until we've greeted everyone. Or if you had a big class, I wouldn't normally do that. You know, 30 children would be too much. So you would say like, you would use a different song, because the hello, what's your name, I wouldn't really work in that setting. But we've got songs to suit, you know, large classes, small classes. Here's a little French example. So this is where you actually will see the bilingual element, how English and the target language integrate. So I'm just going to give you a little example of how that works with all the other songs.
I'd like to introduce you to my family. Nice to meet you, my name is.
Je te présente ma famille. Enchantée, je m'appelle.
This is my mum.
Voici ma mère.
I'd like to introduce you to my family. Nice to meet you, my name is.
Je te présente ma famille. Enchantée, je m'appelle.
This is my mum.
Voici ma mère.
This is my dad.
Voici mon père.
I'd like to.
So you can see that goes on. It's like a cumulative thing. So they're accumulating the vocabulary, and the English is there supporting it. Okay, I'll tell you about why it's effective, because some people will think, well, should we target language? Here's another example.
Let's count from 1 to 10. Let's count from 1 to 10. Let's count from 1 to 10. Everybody count. Contamos del 1 al 10. Contamos del 1 al 10. Contamos del 1 al 10. Contamos todos juntos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's count.
Okay, so you can see it's kind of repetitive. It reinforces the language, it supports the language as well. So with English, which, given the target market, which is often parents, nurseries, then that's a real selling point. It makes them very comfortable about it, and it supports their understanding, and it works really well in primary school settings and clubs, you know, particularly. So, okay, so what are the main elements of BilinguaSing? It's musical, as you can see. I've got our two little elephants here to show you that it's like the two languages working in tandem with each other, which is quite a unique approach. goes against the grain a little bit even. It's very holistic, so we're not necessarily sitting there all zenned out, but certainly if you were to train with us, you'd learn how to integrate baby yoga into your classes. If you're terrified of doing baby classes, you don't have to. You can just focus on primary school age classes or nurseries or whatever you feel your strengths are. It's lively, it's movement, it's not about sitting down and looking at worksheets or anything like that. It's about instilling a love of language learning, building those blocks, building those foundations at a really young age. And as you can see, we have newborn baby classes, so we start at a really young age, and it's all age appropriate. All of our lesson plans are targeted very much for that stage in their development. Okay, so another reason why people join a franchise is the high success rate. I'll let you read that. It's a proven concept. So anecdotally, 8 out of 10 franchise businesses, thrive and do well. That you might think, what about the other 2? But actually, if you compare that to other businesses, that's really, really high success rate. And why would you want to join a franchise? It might be that you fall in love with it. So the people who've joined us, they fell in love with the unique idea. That's super important. If you're sitting here sort of feeling like, oh no, this isn't for me, then it's not for you. But people who absolutely fall in love with the idea, they can see themselves doing it, they can see the value in being part of the team rather than having to build it themselves. The variety, flexibility, when you want to work, how many classes you want to do a week, whether you want to run your terms so that you can still go away, still travel without paying the sort of penalties of going during school holidays, the choices available, the proven success path that gives you more certainty. People love the support, being part of a team. They don't want to lose that. They want to still be part of a team. It's like we're a bit like a virtual department, but with far less hierarchy. We're just like a support team. And we give people what they need to succeed. Community, connection, belonging to something. These are all human, these are things that humans need. Personal growth, contribution. People feel that they're still growing. They're learning business skills. They're learning it from us. They're not having to sort of fumble in the dark. And the contribution that they're making to society, to their local community. Even now it's online. Our reach is even further. And having tangible goals and timescales. I remember in the beginning, I just was sort of making up as I went along. I don't know what goals are. I'm just going to go with it and see what happens. But actually, having somebody say, right, come on, let's sit down, let's work out what you want to achieve, what you want to earn, by when, we're going to help get you from A to B much more quickly, likely so than if you were to go it alone. And people, contrary to what some people think, obviously a lot of the stress is removed because it's done for you. A lot of it's done for you, but the expense, often people's perceived, what they think is expensive in a franchise, actually, it's actually less expensive overall, because you're getting it all, business in a box. There's no wasted time. You're contributing to like a wider, what word do I use to describe it? Infrastructure, that's the word I was looking for, like the whole infrastructure that's been built around the franchising. You're like chipping in and contributing to that, rather than having to pay for it all yourself. And you don't always realize what's involved, and having contributing towards it, as opposed to having to sort of foot the bill yourself, and the stress of finding out what you need to do and who's going to do it for you. That can be a massive stress off your shoulders as well. Okay, so when I set it up, what did I want to do? And I'm not going to dwell on this too much. I wanted to reboot the UK language skills gap from the ground up. I have these really, big mission. I knew what I wanted to do, but I needed, a team of people who had similar values to me to actually do it. I wanted to seize that window of opportunity with babies. If you read about how babies learn languages, it's amazing, and nobody was really doing it. It's bilingual. And why do I do it bilingually? Because participants remain engaged for longer. Enhanced understanding is there, the communication supported, frustrations reduced, enjoyment's increased, and the love of languages developed. So I wanted to really plant those seeds of, of language learning at a really young age and make it easy for people to do it and not remove their excuses. The perception they may have had of learning languages themselves at school, these parents, be quite different, to what I wanted to do for them. Fun, informal, imaginative, great value. We combine music, sensory play, language, sign language, movement, a breath of fresh air to the language class market. That's what we were told with one of the awards that we won, which I'm super proud of. And it's something stress-free, for participants and for us as teachers. It is stress-free. Just try singing your way through a lesson, and you'll see it's almost impossible to feel stressed when you're singing. It's a really joyful thing to do. Don't want to skip over our awards, but we have achieved a lot of awards to show for all of the hard work that my team do, and how the innovation that has been recognised in what we do and the way that we do it, which is very different. So there we are. In a nutshell, that's BilinguaSing.
Fantastic. We just had a question in the chat about, Alison has said this all sounds really exciting.
Thank you, Alison.
And appealing. She's just asking about how are you offering classes in these, as she says, uncertain times? So how are you making your sessions COVID safe, for example, which I'm sure is a question which lots of people either watching this live or watching on the recording will be thinking.
Absolutely. So I'm very fortunate. We've got Mel on here, who's I'm not going to ask you to speak, Mel, don't worry, but she's my right hand lady. She's my sister, and she's amazing at producing all of the guidelines. So at the moment we have a mask to mat policy. So we have mats for position, for people's position in the classes. When the parents come in, they have to sanitize their hands. They have to wear a mask, which we provide if they don't have their own. They take their child to the mat, and then they can actually take their mask off once they're in their space. But that's on the understanding that they stay where they are, as opposed to let their child roam around. We have less people. Obviously, we have to measure out the spacing in the room to make sure we can accommodate. So one of the first things our franchisees did when we were allowed to go back was go to their venues, measure out the space, and figure out how they could accommodate the 2 meter spacing. And of course, there's cleaning in between sessions. We limit props to things that can be sprayed and wiped in between sessions. We can do like a bit of an easy enough turnaround. So many things that we do, and it's not ideal, but parents generally do understand that this is for their safety, and people are just so happy to be back. Not all franchisees have been able to. There's been a few areas where there have been local lockdowns where that hasn't been possible, and we've provided, Mel and I provided online classes so that if in the event of another lockdown or a local lockdown, our franchisees can say to their customers that you can join online until we can resume. So it stops that, it prevents that interruption of service as well. And yes, we have an online offering. For those who are sort of frightened of teaching really young children, we do primary school clubs as well, which may be more familiar. I'm going to really quick whiz through these. These are just some pretty pictures to show you some of my favourite snaps of classes. Little babies really enjoying learning. It's really the age appropriateness of it. It's all there. It's not, it's very much tailored to their stage in development. Toddlers and preschoolers as well. I think my presentation's getting tired now. It's sort of loading up a little bit more slowly.
All good. You've done an amazing job, Ellie.
Yeah, I think we're reaching that time now where I think people are probably feeling quite tired. So I'm just going to whiz through to the good stuff at the end. So bear with me.
But a lovely comment here from Elizabeth saying, "Wow, well done. Completely agree with your vision." That's amazing.
Oh, that's lovely to hear. Thank you so much. So we've mentioned the languages. There's so much more I can show you. It's obviously the coaching. We really did dig into that a little bit tonight. So I won't. If you want to find out more, I'll put a slide up now with a QR code, and you can just go and have a look yourself. But this is sort of where it all begins, really, with the training, the support, the Facebook group where we support you. The kit that you get, there's so much to it that I would take you over time if I started digging into that now. So what I might just do, if that's okay, is come out of the presentation and just go forward to where we want to. I can just do that quickly. So
do
you
you want to stop sharing the screen or?
No, it's fine. You can see down the left hand side.
Oh, I see. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
All of the stuff, like it's a little bit. If you're on a phone, you're not going to be able to see. But the things that you get in your kit. The online ordering portal. Here we have our lovely teachers. Not all of them come from a teaching background, but many of them do. Would anyone? I've got little. This is Karen. She's talking in this video. I was going to show you. She's just talking about how she's felt really supported through the COVID pandemic. She joined us in February. She left her teaching job and she joined us, and she's not looked back, despite the fact she had to launch online through the pandemic, which was not what she was expecting. Again, if you want to see this in full, then you can access this video by clicking on the QR code that I'm going to show you shortly. If you want to see more about us, about BilinguaSing, then please check us out online. There's our handle, it's @BilinguaSing. And here we go. So I might just go back into this just so that you can see the QR code clearly. So this is where you can find out more information. If you want to get the brochure, sorry, it's running a little bit slowly.
Don't worry, it's all good. It's all good. It'll come up in a second. There we are.
Yeah, so you can get the information that you want by clicking on the QR code. That will take you to this page. You just enter your details and you'll get sent access to our online brochure. And from there you can see, you'll see the video, what I just sort of almost showed you, of Karen there and some other teachers as well, talking about their experiences. So you can really dig into that, at your leisure, take your time, explore it if you want to. So I'll come back to that shortly. I hope you feel now that the world is a bigger place than just your workplace, and it's opened your mind and made you think, about all the possibilities that are out there for you. I hope that you refer back to your wheel of life, and I hope that you will choose today just one big domino, one area of your wheel of life that you think, if I deal with this, if I focus on improving this, it will have a domino effect on some of the other areas. That's quite, sometimes we focus in on something, you say, well, actually, that doesn't really have an impact on everything else. For me, it was getting, making time for self-care, making time for daily yoga, doing it at home, because getting to the gym was just, had too many implications and just wasted time. So having that discipline to get that into my daily routine. Yours could be something different. You might want to choose 2 pieces of your pie. I just want you to just highlight them now. What are you going to do? What are you going to focus on going forward? And I'm hoping, and you can feel free to type as we check out this evening. I really hope you feel better about your current situation. Hope you can see that there are ways to teach that reduce the accountability control gap. And you can still, it is possible to do more of what you loved about teaching with languages in the first place. You can do more of what you love and less of what you don't like. And I hope you feel that there are other options out there for you. That's my main aim of this, really, is that, you've opened your minds, you've maybe started that little bit of curiosity and exploration, and you can just commit to doing something that's going to help you in that journey. And it might just be it starts with the self-care. It might be that it starts with looking into going part-time. Not that solves it, but what will give you a bit more space for you to start exploring your options. So if you loved the coaching, if you think I'd really like to take this further, I do have a 3-month coaching program. Oh, by the way, this is for free. If you want to delve more into the franchise, I've got an online course which is free, where you can actually learn more about what it is like to have a franchise and what, answers all of the FAQs. So you can access that through the brochure, through the QR code, which is there again, just in case you missed it. My coaching program is starting in November. I'm skipping through now. If you want to find out more about that, there's the QR code. And you can also access through that. You can get my free survival guide as well for the MFL classroom. A few tips that help me survive and thrive at times. As I said, it was up and down, as it is for most of us. And I'm offering something just as a one-off this evening. I've opened up my calendar to offer, I think, 7 spots I've got evening ones. Don't normally do coaching in the evenings, but I've opened up 7 spots. If you wanted to take advantage of this, this is just for you. I'm not advertising this anywhere. It's not on my website. It's not going onto social media. If you wanted a kickstart exit strategy call, we do 75 minutes one-to-one. I give you a homework and email support for 1 month. This is something I'm only doing for you guys, and there's about 7 slots available. Completely up to you. It's there if you want it. If you think, I love this coaching thing, I want to dig deep into this and start making some changes, then this could be a great kickstart for you. So I'll leave that on there if you want to look into that. And that's it. That's all from me. Are there any, I mean, it's late. If you want to stay on for Q&A, I'm happy to answer any questions. If you need to go, completely understand, Joe. I guess you're tired after the long day you've had. So happy.
Okay, it's been lovely.
Fine.
It's been really lovely, Ellie. Thank you so much for sharing your journey. It's been thought-provoking. It's been
good.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. There's been some lovely comments in the chat. So Alison saying thank you, really reassuring answers. Marie, thank you for sharing this, Ellie. Great evening. Bonsoir à vous tous as well from Marie. It's been great.
Marie. Oh, thank you. It's a shame I can't see all the lovely comments. I'd love to, but unfortunately it's not allowing me to see them. But it's funny how it did in the beginning and then they've just sort of disappeared.
Yeah, it's a bit problematic of that, but you'll be able to see all the chat afterwards. And if you, I mean, I don't know if you want to stop sharing your screen now, but if you actually click in the chat box, you can then do Control A to select everything. That's what I normally recommend.
I can see it all now. Now that I'm off my screen, I can see it all.
There we are.
Thank you. Do we have many people left with us? Because I know it was quite a long way.
So we've got 18 now. So it's been pretty consistent right the way through. Yeah. We had, I think, 21 at the height, but we've had everyone stayed with us, which has been lovely. And they found it really. I mean, you'll like reading the chat. It's been lovely.
I will definitely, if it doesn't disappear on me, I'll definitely have a little read through. And you know, as I always say, reach out. I'm always available on email. I love talking to MFL teachers. It's one of my favourite pastimes. It's never time wasted, you know, to me, even if you just want to chat through what, you know, BilinguaSing or what your options are, or what would the coaching involve, you know, you can reach out by, you know, if you go onto my website, the Ellie Baker Education website, then all my contact details are there and you'll be able to, you know, get in touch with me through there. So thank you so much, Joe. It's been really enjoyable. I know I've run over a little bit. So
no, it's been lovely. It's been really lovely. It's been it's just hearing your journey and hearing all the different things you've been doing. I'm sure. Well, I know it resonated with me, and I know it resonates with lots of other people. And it's just taking a moment to have a think about all the different things you have to deal with. I think it's really important to reflect. For sure. Yeah. And so thank you for that opportunity this evening.
No,
it's been
thank you. And you know, as I say, it's not a rehearsal. This is it. This is your life.
That's right. So. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank
you.
Cool.
Okay, that's brilliant. I'll stop the recording now if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then there we are. And yep.